Hi, good afternoon. This is Everett from Everett's Watercolors, and welcome to my classroom. Welcome back to another live broadcast. Today I'm going to draw and paint leaves. And I had a downloadable link. Hi, good afternoon. This is Everett from Everett's Watercolors, and welcome to my classroom. Welcome back to another live broadcast. Okay, it was an echo in the background, no problem. I had a downloadable link on my website, and after this program will be replayed later. And if you want to get the downloadable link, you go to my website, and it'll give you instructions to get the sketch I'm going to do today. Okay, now as I paint and draw and so forth, you can paint along with me and draw along with me. I'm going to give you a couple examples of what I'm doing, and we'll take our time and have some fun. So I'm going to go over to my work table and show you how I'm going to get started here. Okay, the supplies I have is a sketchbook, and of course I have pencils and eraser for drawing, and I have three kinds of pencil. You have a light, medium, and dark lead. I recommend that to you if you have those. But a regular old sketch pencil is good enough to get started. And also, if you're going to do painting today, here's a piece of watercolor paper or a watercolor pad if you're going to do painting, or watercolor pencils. And if you got your watercolor pencil set, have those ready to go. Watercolor pencils or color pencils. Now you won't need, we don't have a photo reference today, but so what I brought along was the real thing. Now these leaves I picked up off the ground probably 5 years ago. And what I did is I put them in a plastic bag, and they're dried out now, nice and flat. And they're a good reference. When I find a leaf on the ground, I usually pick it up. Now here's another shape. Aren't they beautiful? That's an oak tree. But there you get an idea of how the leaf is, the shape of the leaf. Excuse the reflection there or the shine there on the lamp. Let me pull that off. Hey, you might be able to see a little better. I'm sorry. Okay. And then there's all kinds of sizes and shapes. Look at this. Look at this beauty here. Aren't they beautiful? They're a little bit smaller, but I love the different kinds of shapes. I love to paint and I love to draw leaves. It's a lot of fun. Now I'm going to turn this one over. Now look at that one. That's a maple leaf. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the size and shape of that. So I use these shapes and so forth to come up with my drawings. Let me put this aside. Now I'll open up my sketchbook here. And get your paper out also. Get your paper and sketch and pencils ready. Now this is the downloadable sketch I have on my website. Okay, and that's what you can download from my website with a downloadable link. And that description or that downloadable link will be in the replay. I'll have it in a comments section where you can go to the link and then you can download. What you do is put your right cursor on that if you have a computer and copy it and put it on your program, whether it be using Word or something like that, or Pad, and you can print it off a printer and have a copy to look at. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that sketch, and I'm going to use my pen and ink set. This is a permanent ink, which I use a lot of times, so I can draw in pencil or in ink. But I'm going to put in ink so you can see what I'm drawing. So I'm going to start here. Number one, there's two leaves here. There's a leaf here. It's in, I call it the front leaf, and there's one in the back. This one's on top of this one. So I'm going to start with this leaf here first, the first one in the front. I'm going to start drawing at the bottom and go away. So I'm going to draw this one in first. I love those curves on the shape of the leaf. I just love those curves. That's probably the favorite part. And while I'm here, I'll go ahead and put the stem in. And let's paint the other side. Paint. You know, when I'm painting or drawing, I'm doing the same thing. I draw with a brush, and I paint with a pencil. To me, they're interchangeable. The backbone of art is drawing. You need to practice. If you're really going to become better at art, you have to do better on drawing. Let me start over here now. Now I'm going to get this this top part here of the leaf. I got the sides and I got the stem. I'll work the top part. And I think always in the fall, or as soon as the leaves are out, I'm out there collecting shapes. And you can collect leaves all year long. They're in the garden. You'll find them on the ground. When the wind's blowing, they get blown off the trees. So they're pretty easy to find. There's lots of them out there. And now also, what's interesting in every leaf, there's a pattern of veins, or the parts that little branches. I call them branches. And they have a little characteristic to them also. And I look like miniature little trees. They have little trunks and little branches, but they follow the direction of the shape of the leaf. And they're the veins, or the most interesting shapes of the leaf. That gives it the characteristics. Okay, well that's enough on that. That's enough detail on that one. Now we'll get now we'll work on this this back leaf back here. Now I'm following the outline up here on the top here, and I'm going to come on around. It's got a little bump in there. You know, every leaf is almost like every fingerprint. Every leaf is different. You can't find two identical leaves anywhere. They may look the same, or they may look the same shape, but they're different. Every single leaf is different. Can you imagine the millions and millions of leaves out there? And every one is different. So I can never become bored with looking or searching for leaves, because there's always a new one out there that I can find. It's got a different shape to it. And when you pick them up in the fall, you'll get different colors. Now these had colors when I first picked them. They had orange and red and so forth, but when they get dried out, they all turn brown. But if you preserve them in a bag, a waterproof bag, they'll last for a long time. Like I said, those leaves I have in that bag I showed you are over 5 years old. And they're still okay. This has got a stem to it. Now this one here, because I made the stems a little different. A little bit of little variety here. I changed the stem shape. I'll put that in. So if you get an opportunity to draw, you can download that sketch and then just try it yourself, and you'll find out how much fun it is. It's very, to me, it's almost like meditation. You can just lose yourself in the drawing. Take your time. It's very meditative. Very meditative. I think it's one of the facets of art therapy, is that it's very good to relax. Now this is the center of the leaf, and so what I'm going to do here is go out from that and build the veins. These are like little branches on a tree. That's what I refer to them, almost like a tree. You got a trunk, and you have branches that come off that trunk. Now that's the center one, that's the big one. Now there's one that comes out of here on this side, and it will extend on up. Again, it'll point to the, you'll see the characteristic of a leaf. This will point to the edge or the point of the leaf. If you look at leaves enough, if you study them, you'll see that's how they're constructed. And this one over here would have a little curve to it out to this side, and even this one down here would have a little branch. And there's probably one hidden behind this one, so I'll indicate that there's a little, maybe a little branch off there. Okay. Okay, well that, I'll put the pen away now. So that concludes the sketching part in the sketchbook. Now this sketchbook is it's pretty thin paper, but it'll withstand quite a bit. You can use pen and ink on it. You can also use pencils and color pencils. The sketch pad does very good on that. It's about 70 pound, maybe 60 pound, 60 or 70 pound weight paper. Now let me show you now. Now here's a sketch I had done earlier. This is the pencil sketch. Let's go through a couple of things here. Once you get your sketch done, this leaf here in the front will be a lighter value. It's going to have less graphite on it. So I would take the pencil here and very lightly go over that one, kind of fill in the outline, leave some white paper. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of whites. And then take another pencil, maybe a little darker, and then go in some place, maybe in the stem, you go in and darken it up a little bit more than the rest of the leaf. In other places, you can darken in. Then when I draw or when I shade in, I use the side of the lead. I don't use the point. I use the side. So I lay the pencil down and do a circular motion or a back and forth motion when I'm doing a drawing, or shading in. So I look for a little variety of shadow, a little variety of value here. Now with a pencil you're going to get lights and darks, black and white. That's all you're going to get. Now these two leaves, now this one's in front of this one up here. So this leaf here I would use a little darker value up here, which means you do either one or two layers if you have one pencil, or you press a little harder to get a darker value. And again, you can leave some darker areas and lighter areas on this one also. And also you can darken up the branch. Now I darken this up, and I'm going to leave some of it a little lighter out here. I'm not going to darken it all the way in. Over here I darken it all the way. Okay, now here's what's interesting. The direction of light, if you choose the direction of light from the bottom here all the way to the top, this leaf here will have a shadow cast on this leaf down here because of the lighting. So you take your darkest pencil, you go behind there and you, depends on how dark your lead is, but you go back behind there and you build a shadow pattern behind, and also that gives you a nice definition. It gives a separation between this leaf and the back leaf. By the shadow pattern will separate those two leaves. Because all you have is a pencil with black and white, so you've got to make it darker or lighter to make it separate. So we put a darker shadow behind this leaf, and then that shadow, I'm following the shapes. This little piece here is up here, and this has a shadow reflected down there, and this piece. So you kind of use the shape of the leaf to give you the shadow shape. It's not an exact copy of that leaf shape, but very similar to it. If the lights. Now the way you can find out, if you had a leaf, you actually, like the leaves I showed you here, and you shine a lamp on it, you'll see the shadow pattern from the lamp hitting the one leaf. You can look at the shadow pattern on the leaf behind, and that's a good way to learn what shadows look like. This is shine a lamp or a flashlight on top of one leaf, on top of the other, and you'll see the shadow pattern that's there. Okay, now the last part is the background. The background, if both of these are light and middle, like a light area and a medium area, then the background has to be dark for it to show up. Now here you really have to put a lot of lead down. A lot of lead. Now there's ways of doing that. You would just go as dark as you can with your pencil. Now there's several techniques to use here. Let me go over here to show you. You can do hatching, which are straight lines, and then you can come back with cross hatching. That darkens it up a little bit. Then you can go another direction and keep crisscrossing until that gets darker and darker. But then eventually you're going to have to use the lead on the side of the pencil. Okay. And what you want to do is try to, like for example down here, it has to be much darker than this lighter leaf. And the one back here in the middle value, you got to be much darker than that one. And you want to go all the way around. All the way around. So that's a lot of work. So, you take your time, do a little bit, and then get up and stretch, and then go back and do some more. And then go back. Now, the only place you got to be careful is when you come into the actual shape of the leaf. To be very careful in the shape over there. Okay? Okay, that's with a pencil. Now, if you made a mistake somewhere, or you want to change something, then you have your eraser, and you can go in and take off some a little bit of the pencil mark or whatever. Okay. Oh, now the same drawing here now with now here you can use anything with color. Color pencil. Watercolor pencil, which I have here. I have a set of watercolor pencil. I have also color pencils, but I just have one today. You can use crayons, anything with color. Okay, markers, things like that. Remember, this is just sketch paper, so it's not going to take much wetting of it with water, so you'd be very gentle. Now you'll notice here, when I started this particular one, I start with a light color first. Like here, the light part of the leaves. Now here I picked all the colors of autumn. Yellow, orange, red, maybe someplace a little bit of green and brown. Of course, the browns and so forth. Purple, you can get violet or purple in there. You can kind of mix up your colors. But then you want to kind of, when you go in there, now this is a watercolor pencil. And it's almost like coloring with a crayon, but you fill in the area with those colors. And then you go in, you pick up maybe a little bit of orange. You go in and you put the orange in there. Now remember, see, I'm using the side of the pencil. That helps spread out that pigment a lot better. Okay, then you pick up some red. And you find little places here. No, you don't have to be exact on where this is unless you had a picture you wanted to follow. But we're not following a picture today. We're just having fun with the colors, just making different colors here. And then you can pick up in the background. Also, I put some red back here in this darker one. I put a little bit of red back here. You can put a little bit of orange over here on some of the leaves. You want to put the colors. keep the colors kind of a continuous coloring plan here. And then when you get back here into this back leaf, then you want to start putting some more browns. And you can put some browns up here also. There's nothing wrong with a little brown mixed in, a little bit of brown mixed up here with the yellow or with the reds. That leaf's going to start turning brown, so you want to put some browns in there also. But I'm putting a lot of browns back because this leaf here is a little bit older, maybe it's been laying around. And the same thing here behind, I have a shadow. There's a lighter leaf in front of the darker leaf, and I have a shadow. Well, there you want to mix colors. And you can use any color combination, any dark color, blues and greens, blues and purples, blues and browns. In fact, I have them all spread out here. You can use any color combination and mix them up. Now, to get behind the leaf, just like we did over on the pencil drawing, to get real dark, you're going to have to go darker yet. So what I did down here, let me show you. I'll slide it over. What I've done down here is I've taken brown, blue, violet, red, and green, 5 colors, and I put them down here one at a time, and then I put a brush on it, and you can see how dark that is. That's how dark you're going to have to get around this leaf, okay? And some of the shadows behind this leaf here. You got to get darker mixes, especially with watercolor pencil, because you have to really put a lot of pigment down there for it to get dark enough. Even the brown and the blue and the purples. You're going to have to mix in a lot of color in there. Then when you go put the pencil, when you go put the water on, now this is very light paper. It's only sketch paper, so you don't want much water in. So what I do is I wet the brush, and then I'll take a damp sponge and take it up, or a tissue. If you have a tissue, it's fine. Wet the brush, and then take out a lot of that water, because you don't need much to wet this pigment. It'll wet very quickly by itself. Then you go back there to where you put that color in, and then you start adding in. Now that's when the color starts to come alive. The reds become much brighter, the oranges become a lot brighter, the yellows are much cleaner. And this one down here I've already played with, and I put water on all these spots here too, so you can see the greens. When you put water on, it changes also. And what you want to do is get a dark background around here also. So this dark want to go. Now what I do is I put not the same colors. I may put more green in one area, more red in another, and blues and so forth. And I'll show you that. I'm going to do a watercolor demonstration, and I'll show you how I do that. Watercolor will be much faster because I can move much quicker and with a brush and so forth. So there's an example of a pencil drawing, and there's a sample of a color drawing with pencils. Color pencils, watercolor pencils, even crayons. It would all work. And have a lot of fun. I'm going to put this aside. I'll get my painting table over here ready for the painting. Let me take you overhead. Okay. Now we'll come over to my palette. Now I'm still using a sketch, and also in watercolor pencils I would use watercolor paper. And whereas watercolor paper is the best paper to use for watercolor pencils. I use the sketch pad over there just as a demonstration of what can be done with very little water on that paper, so it won't take too much. It'll start tearing up on you. But watercolor paper, this is 140-pound Gemini watercolor paper, which is archival. It'll take a lot of punishment, so you can scratch and tear with your pencils and not really damage it too much. And then put a lot of water on this, and it will dry very nicely. So I would recommend watercolor paper for watercolor pencils entirely, or a watercolor pad. So this is a little piece of the Gemini paper I have here cut, and this is the sketch that I downloaded on the internet from my website. And I drew it in pen and ink here so you can see the shape again. That's the shape I have. And then I went ahead with a pencil drawing on the same size. And all I did here was with a pencil, I just highlighted some little edges that I want to make sure that I have. So I don't have everything marked out. I just have just the important sections. Okay. So I drew in a little light sketch with pencil, then highlighted a few sections that I want to make sure that I'm aware of. Okay. Okay. Then I'm going to use two brushes. I'll use this one. There we go. Now I'm going to mix up the paints I'm going to use. I'm going to use yellow lemon. Oh, that's what I did. You know what? I picked up this brush when I was doing the watercolor pencil, and I forgot to put it back in its place. That's what I'm going to use also watercolor. That's where it was. Okay. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of lemon yellow, and I'm going to use all the colors. I'm going to use a little bit of orange. This is yellow orange, and a little bit of red. That's Pyro red. These are all Holbein watercolors, which are archival, and very easy to wet and re-wet. If they dry out on you, it's easy to add water to them and get them started. A little bit of purple. Now over here, I've got a little bit of royal blue, which I'm going to use a lot of in the background. Okay, and also a little bit of yellow ochre. And you can't see these too well on the screen, but I got yellow ochre and I got burnt sienna over here. Okay, and I may put a touch of green in there, green number 1. We'll see. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a variety of colors over these leaves, a variety of colors. So I'll start out with. On this front leaf here, I'm going to use lighter colors, and the back leaf I'll use a little darker colors. That's my plan. A little bit lighter here, then a little bit darker. So I'm going to start out with a little bit of, I'll start with a lighter color, the lemon yellow. And I'm going to put in a loose brushstroke. And then I'm going to pick up some orange. And I may put a little bit of orange up in here, just a little bit. Now when I pick a spot, I'm going to have different colors, but I'm also going to make sure they're different sizes. I don't want to have the same size or the same color. I'm going to move them around a little bit. Okay. And even this purple I'm going to put, now the purple is a darker color, so I'm going to put that back in here, back in the background. Now the yellow ochre, and I'm going to lay my brush flat because I want to get a rough brush stroke on this one. I want to get a rough brush stroke, so I'm using rough area. I want the paintbrush to skip over and not be too defined. And I'm going to pick up some of that burnt sienna now. Go back here into this other one, way in the back. A little more reds back here, a little darker. Okay. Wash out my brush. I'm going to pick up the smaller brush here. I'm going to go in and put in a little bit of, a little bit more highlights of those yellows. I like a little more yellows in there, so I'm putting a little more. Right out of the palette, get a little more yellow in there. Okay. So when you're finished playing around with it, now I'm going to take the smaller brush and I'm going to put in some of these branches over the stems. So there's a little stem here, and I'm going to change the color. I'm going to put a little bit of purple there, and over here I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna here. I'll pick up a little bit of blue, a little bit of dark blue. That's not going to show very well anyway, because I'm going to put a dark background around it, so that won't help me too much. I think I'll use the ochre. I'll put yellow ochre back here. Okay. Okay. Let me get a quick drink here. I'll do a little sip of water. Now, I'm looking at the painting. It's okay. I'm gonna let that dry just a little bit more before I put the stem. So I'm gonna start working on the background. Now, the background is very interesting. I'm gonna have. I mentioned I have this big puddle of royal blue back here. It's real dark blue, and then I can mix in all kinds of colors with that. This same kind of idea I gave with the other techniques. And then I'm going to go back here with very, very powerful darks. And then I'm going to pick up the smaller brush right now, just so I can get a little more definition around that leaf. So what I'm doing now is I'm carving that shape out. So see, it really didn't matter what I put on the paper, because I can always define the edges with my design. And what I try to do is make the color sort of complementary to what's on the leaf. And I'll show you that in a few minutes what I'm talking about. I'm putting the dark blue here next to the lighter brown to get a nice contrast. And that's a very dark blue. It's a very rich blue. Okay, might come around a little bit more with this. So the dark colors are going to define the shape of the leaf on the outside. Now over here, I'm going to turn into. Now I'm mixing that blue now with the quinacridone violet. So now it becomes more change of color from that blue kind. Now it's going to turn into a purple or a violet. And here, because I have a tight area, I'm going to use the finer, smaller brush. In fact, this is such a small painting that really the small brush is about only room I have room for. And I'll go inside here. I have the key. I have those lines. Remember, I marked out those lines in the beginning so I could see where I was. Because once I covered up with paint, you lose all your guidelines of where you are. So that's why I marked those spots that I know were critical for applying the darks. So when you go back and see the replay, you'll see why when I put the dark sketch together, I highlighted some of those sections that I wanted to indicate where I was. Now this little section here. I'm being careful around the leaf because I want to preserve that shape. That's the most important part of this painting, is the shape of the leaf. The rest of it is just going to be dark colors, so it doesn't matter what color I put down as long as it's dark. And here I'm using more purples. And if you saw this under a light, you'd see the different colors, because with a light shining on it, you could see the purples and the blues, and I'm going to add more colors in here in a few minutes. I can get around it, but the more detail I put on this, the better it's going to look. So. Okay. All right, begin to see the picture a little bit there, what I'm doing. Now up here, I think what I'll do is pick up a little bit of green. Mix that. I'm mixing green now in with the royal blue. I'm putting Hooker's green mixed in with that royal blue. Whatever I put with royal blue, it's just going to give me a darker color. If I use green, I'm going to get a fantastic dark green. If I use blue, I'm going to get a much darker blue. It depends on what color I put with that royal. That royal blue just is dark, as you can see. I'm turning the painting around so I can see where I am. And again, I'm following that sketch I had before. Okay, and then I see there's a line in there. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. I'm zeroing in on my design. So here I mixed in green with the blue. So this is like a bluish green over here, which is hard to tell at this point because it's so dark. But as it dries up, when it dries a little bit, the colors start to become more evident of what color's there. But the fascinating part about watercolor is you can get really interesting combinations of colors. And this one here. Okay. So I'm going to change colors all the way around here. I've gone from, first of all I started with royal blue, then I put quinacridone violet, and now this section I put some green in. And also what I like to do here is because I got yellows here, I'm going to put the contrasting color next to that. And so I'm going to go back to the purple with that blue. I'm going to put the purple in here next. So now I put the more purple over in this section. Right after this green, I'm going to put some purple next. And it's right next to that yellow. So the yellows and the purples are complementary colors, and that gives the eye a chance to get a little bit a different look there. So while I'm doing this outside, I'm letting the inside get dry so I can go back in and put the shadow pattern on the leaves. So this gives me an opportunity to do this part. So the phases of painting is planning out where the paint is wet and where the paint is dry, or where you can still work on different sections. Then you continue to work on this section. So part of the painting process is to plan ahead about where you are in relation to where the wetness is, because you don't want to go back into a wet area, or you'll have the colors will start to mix where you don't want it to mix. Here, and this is such a small painting. I'm just trying to do more detail here so you can really see the effect of this. And really, this is just like the drawing. This is something that you take your time with, and again, it's like meditation. You can get lost in the painting. Just I can sit here and probably get in the, they say, get in the zone. And when you're in the zone, you just paint. Don't know what you're doing. You're just having a good time. So I'm putting that purple around that yellow. I think that'll really make that one come out real nice when it dries a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to pick up burnt sienna, the brown, and mix that in with a royal blue, and I'm going to have another color. It'll be a darker brown or a bluish brown. It'll be so dark you won't be able to tell. You see it when it dries. You'll see a little bit of the brown color in it, and that's all I want to see. A change in color. I wouldn't want to use black around anything. Black is so dull when it dries. But when you put a color in with the dark areas, it has its own characteristic. It's much more interesting, and it's more fascinating to look at with a color in the darks. So here I'm putting in that brown, which is a nice warm color down here. And brown is warmer compared to the blue, so I get a warm air section. I get this little curve. I love these curves on these leaves. They just really are interesting. They're so fascinating. Every leaf is, as I said, every leaf is different. You can't pick up any leaf that's the same. Every leaf is different. Now coming across here, I think I'm going to go back, because of the orange now, there's orange in this section, I'm going to go back just to pure blue. I had blue in this corner, and I'm going to go back to blue again, right next to this orange, right here. So I really, again, I don't plan out the painting. I let the painting talk to me. The painting says I'm orange here. It says you need to use blue. Wow. So I had the painting talk to me. Look at that. That'll make that orange really come alive. And then I come over here and marry it in with the purple over here. See, the blue and purple are also they're kind of analogous. So here, when the blue mixes in with the purple, they fit. Now to finish it off, I can just take the this purple that's finished, start over here and just finish it off. Oh, there's a little surprise here at the end. I don't know if it's going to show or not. Doesn't show very well. No, it doesn't show. Here's what I tried to do. Let me come up to the camera and show you. Down here, at the very bottom corner here, I used a white crayon and wrote my name in there. And I said, well, when I get to that point, let's see what happens. And it just starts to come out. I think when the paint dries, it'll become more visible. But I used a crayon down this bottom corner here and wrote my name in white crayon. And I talked about that in the last live show, that you can use the crayon as a resist. And there's an example there. I wrote my name in to surprise you, but also to give you an example of even using, not necessarily in a painting, but you can sign your paintings in crayon. Now, if that didn't come out very well, what I can do is go over it with another color, a lighter color. Say I could put pure white in there. Or maybe a light yellow. I could paint over that just to sign the painting. Okay, I'm going to go back in now with try to finish this up there. Almost done. Almost done. I'm going to mix up a little bit of brown. Now I'm going to paint in those wonderful, wonderful. I'm using a round brush with a very fine point, and this is what's going to bring This is what's going to bring the leaf alive. These little veins. Now that's what makes the leaf look real, is when you have a vein in there. If you don't have a vein, it doesn't look like a leaf. And down here, almost like calligraphy. There's curves and bends and different angles. This one over here can go out this way. It's got like a little curve to it. Okay, then this one up here. And this one out here. And this one over here. Now the leaf here, it's in front. What I'm going to do is put a little bit of shadow pattern behind it. So I'll take a little bit of brown. Same color as a leaf is behind it. And I can separate these two. I'm separating the two leaves now. I'll put a little brown color here to match the brown that's on the back leaf. I'll come down here. And go over here, pick up some more. A few more strokes, I'll be done. Okay. And to finish it off, I would put I'll put a mat board around it, like that, and it's ready to go. And I'll bring it over to the close-up camera for a second so you can get a close-up of that. Let's go to the close-up. Where am I? Oh, there it is. Looking right at it. Okay. And then I put the mat board over it. Ah, now isn't that pretty? Isn't that pretty? I like that. Okay, let me take you back to a couple other things I want to show you. Okay, that concludes the painting. Now what I did was that dark background, see how that is, and it's still juicy. I mean, it's really all kinds of, there's the blues and then the greens, and I went back to blue over here again, then back to brown, and then went back to blue, and those purples over here. So all the colors that I used in my palette, basically, I can use on the painting. Okay. Oh, that turned out real good. Okay, let that dry. Let's see. Let me bring you back to, where are we? Over here. No, let me bring you back to the overhead. Okay. Yeah, there's a painting I did earlier. It's matte. I put a matte on it. That's a painting I probably did a couple years ago. The one I did today was much more dramatic, so I like the one I did today. But here's one I did a couple years ago. I put a matte board around that. And let me show you another one. Now this is a bigger one. This is actually a print, but this is a print. Now here's a bunch of leaves. So you can take a configuration like this and make a bigger painting out of it. I put a mat board around that also, okay? So that's a bunch of leaves across there. All kinds of colors. I've used greens and reds and yellows and oranges. Okay. Now, what can I do with that painting? Well, what I suggest is, after you finish this painting or sketch, and you like it and you've colored it in so forth, well, then you can put it into a frame. Now this one I did a couple days ago, and I took this paper here and I mounted it on a piece of white paper, and right now it's just got Scotch tape on the back, double Scotch tape on a piece of paper. And then I slid it into a 8 by 10 picture frame. Now, what a beautiful gift that is. Mama, dear mom, dear dad, a friend, a brother, sister, whatever, that would make a beautiful gift. And there's nothing more, I think, nothing more precious than to have a gift made by someone, handmade. This is a handmade item that you could give to anyone, and it'd make a nice gift. It's a very simple little painting. And I could have it like this, or I could turn it and do it sideways. So it could be mounted either way, vertical or horizontal. Isn't that nice? Okay, I got one more idea. In the last program, I was showing we're using stencils and other things for gift cards and greeting cards, and for card making. And there I used a cut board, and this is a piece of watercolor paper, and I cut out the sketch. I sketched here on the paper and made a shape of a leaf. And of course this one here, that's the positive shape of a leaf. And then I can take that. I could have, on this watercolor paper, I could have painted it first, did a colorful wash on it, or whatever I wanted to do, or watercolor pencils, or crayons, or whatever. Get the colors on there, cut out my shape like this, and then I could take the cardstock. There's one right here, and I can mount that right on top. Let's see, let me bring that up. You won't see that very well on the, you have to see a close-up of that one. Let me do a close-up. Let's see. Close-up, yeah, that's it, okay. You can see the shape of the leaf here on the cardstock. So there you can place that in there, a position that looks good. Bring it down a little bit. You could put a little message across there, hello, or happy birthday, or whatever you want to put on there, or just to you, or special greetings, or whatever. And again, this would be a colored leaf. Here I just used the white one here, okay. And also what you could do is use the spray bottles. I could put this on there. I could take the outline of this, and I could use the dot spray. I'm not going to do it now, but I could use the dot spray bottle, and I could spray this. Okay. I think I've got time to do that. Let me try that. That's something I haven't done before, so let me try that. One thing about watercolor is experiment. Experiment, experiment, experiment. That's the whole fun about watercolors. So I'm going to take this cardstock away for a second, and then I can take this one. I think I'll take the leaf. I'll take this. Okay. Alright, so I put a clean piece of watercolor paper. Oop, I can't see what I'm doing. My goodness. That's not going to do it. That's good. I got so excited I forgot to put the camera on. Okay, here's a piece of watercolor paper. Then I put the cutout over top, on top of it. I'm not placing it where I want. I'm not placing it in any special place. I'm just placing it on the watercolor. And then I'm going to cover up the table with a towel. cover up with a towel, and then I'll pick up some colors. This is happens to be the purple. I'll use that. And let's see, put a little bit of burnt. I got a little bit of burnt sand, and no, that's not a spray bottle. Maybe take the blue. A little bit of blue. More purple. That's pretty good. Some more blue. Okay. And then when I finish spraying, I go ahead and make the outline. Wow. I left it very light. I didn't want to go overboard and get it too dark. But again, with a dot spray bottle, I can go darker and darker and darker. Let me bring that one in. Ooh, you saw it. Let me bring that one in. You like that one? Oh boy, not nice. Now you could put that in different colors. You can cut that out and put the size you want for the card. You just take your measurements and go ahead and put that on the side of a card, on the cardstock, and then there you are. Now the other way, let's see, where's my shape? There it is. The other thing I could do is go back to this one. I keep moving the camera. You can't see what I'm doing. Okay, I could go back here and take this. Now take my masking. I'm not even masking now. I'm just covering up with the shape I had. Okay, then I can go in and put in all kinds of colors in here. I go, blues across the top, a little bit of, I got greens. Now this is fine mist. Even a little bit of yellow in there. Okay, I'm using my palette in the bottle, which is, I can use all the colors of the rainbow. I use the colors that are in my palette. Now, to pick this up carefully. Okay. I get another effect. So I can go in, let me transition that one. Now I can go in and I could make one of these highlights. That had to be a little overlapping problem. Not a problem, this overlaps when I put it on there. But look at the colors you can combine with watercolors, spray bottles, and just to cut out a design. Okay. In fact, this really turned out pretty good, this one here. After I sprayed that, I'm having so much fun. After I sprayed that leaf, now I got another design. Here's a leaf that I just sprayed that gives me another idea. Okay, so I'm having so much fun. Oh my goodness! So I'm gonna open up the shop here. Open up the shop main camera. I was having so much fun there. I get the spray bottles are exciting, but also doing the leaves. I love leaves. I pick them up off the ground. As I showed you, you put them in a plastic bag, let them lie flat for a while until they dry out. Let them dry out and put them in there, and then keep them in a bag with maybe a paper towel there to get the moisture up, or keep the moisture off. And that can be sealed, and you can keep those things for a long time, especially if you find a leaf that you really, a shape of a leaf that you really like. And I like them all. It was hard, but I showed you a variety today. And look what you can do with them. I mean, number one, they're a good model to use to draw a tree, to draw a leaf, and they're all shapes and sizes. And then you can put them together in a composition, and then you can paint them any way you want. You can paint them dark and lights, different colors, and so forth. And then put some contrast around them, and you can make them sparkle. Okay, and then we just turn them into a card. And I was just I did that just about 10 minutes before I got on the air. I cut out that leaf shape. My wife's a card maker, and she got me some card material together. and I just put it together on a spur of the moment. And then just now I decided to show how to do both sides of the positive and negative shapes of the cutout. So there's no end to art in experimentation. Okay, and that's what a little bit of fun today on a Saturday, to forget all your troubles, and you're in the house and you want to know what to do. Then share this photo with your friends and let them see what's possible. And subscribe to my channel, and be aware of my next video coming down the road. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be doing a painting online. I'll be painting now. Show you how I paint and do some different things I want to do there. And on Thursday, I'll be back with some techniques, probably some fun techniques. This was fun today too, but that'll be a more fun type thing. Today was more serious about painting leaves, right? And then on next Saturday, I'll come back with some more tools and techniques and a little more fun. So I'm enjoying the broadcast. I hope you're enjoying it, and we'll see you next time. But stay safe and take care of each other. So we'll see you next time. See you in the next video.